Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Shogunet Gaming News. Today we'll be trying to have some insights from one of the leading providers for the gaming industry, which is International Game Technology. And for that, we are joined today by David Flinn, IGT's Regional Vice President for South America and Canada. So welcome, David. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, Juan. Thank you.
Right. Well, we can start off with, well, you've been for over 15 years at the company, and most recently, since July, you have added South America to your responsibility area. So maybe you can share some insights and learnings that you've had this year from this region, and maybe, well, you can tell us what Canada and South America represent for IGT right now, and maybe we can have some comparisons on the difference between these different jurisdictions there.
Sure. Well, from a transition perspective, it's certainly been incredibly unique given the global pandemic. I mean, it's been very difficult to obviously get to the LATAM area, and for that matter, I'm in Florida, so it's been very difficult for me to get to Canada as well. So the transition piece has been rather unique. I've had a few Zoom calls like we're doing here. I've had a few phone calls with some of the customers, but it's been very difficult to get a good feel because everything's been closed. And I'm very, very excited about getting to Latin America, specifically Central and South America. My style, my business style is I like to be present. I like to be in the region. I like to be there. So hopefully the customers in that region will be welcoming, because I plan on spending lots of time in the area, because I really want to get to know the people. I want to get to know the business, and both from an IGT employee standpoint and obviously from a customer perspective as well. But I have learned quite a bit of stuff. Obviously Canada is Canada and Latin America is Latin America, but there's a lot of really interesting similarities. Play Digital, for instance. Canada is a very, very strong interactive market for IGT globally, not just for North America. And I really, really see the potential in Central and South America as well. I believe that, having omni-channel products, omni-channel solutions between land-based and interactive is the key to our future. I believe people should be able to move seamlessly between those channels. And we're doing that now in Canada with Powerbucks and mega jackpots. So I expect to hopefully do the same in the LATAM market as well. So, both regions are very multi-verticaled. There's VLTs, there's casinos, there's Play Digital or interactive. So there's a lot of really interesting similarities between the two markets. And I think they can actually learn from one another. As far as differences go, it obviously is a little different, because I was managing one country, and now I have many countries and many jurisdictions and many unique, even though there's a lot of similarities from a regulatory perspective and from a jurisdictional perspective, there are some differences that it's going to take some time for me to get used to and understand better.
Right. Well, talking specifically about Canada, we've seen many reopenings since by the end of September. We saw, Ontario with this controversial cap of 50 people, and they were followed by Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, and Lower Quebec had to close the game this month. So how would you assess these reopenings based on IGT's performance and feedback there? Which role are these new restrictions of these capacity limits are playing in the business? And maybe we can have your outlooks for other jurisdictions like British Columbia and Atlantic Canada, it would be great.
Sure, no problem. So unfortunately, since last month, we've actually gone another few steps backwards in Canada. Just as recent as last week, Alberta has now put a lot of restrictions. Quebec is now closed. Most of Ontario is now reclosed. Atlantic Canada is now reclosed. So unfortunately, most of the market with the second wave that the globe seems to be going through has sort of retracted again a bit. But I can tell you this: when they were open and when venues were open, there was a pent up demand, for gaming, and the attendance and the revenues were strong while they were open. The VLT revenue was strong, but the overall winner out of all the verticals has undoubtedly been interactive. I mean, the growth in interactive is in multiple 100% in Canada since March. It began growing in the middle of March and has continued to grow every month afterwards. So interactive remains incredibly strong in the Canadian marketplace. Alberta just opened up their online space. Atlantic Canada opened up their online space this year, and they're doing above average and ahead of their projections thus far. So that seems to be the greatest strength in the market. As far as British Columbia and Ontario and Quebec being probably the three biggest markets along with Alberta, I suspect that we're not going to see BC return back to normal until the new year. At least January, maybe a little later into the year. It depends a lot on, I guess, where this second wave ends up and when vaccinations start. Hopefully they're going to start in the US in December and Canada shortly afterwards. So I'm hoping that begins to open up some more markets. But by and large, I think I think the interesting question will be how many people retreat from the online space and go back to land-based. And it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out as the casinos begin to reopen.
Sure. And have you seen new demands from operators? Maybe, well, we have seen some operators very interested in these pod configurations or multi-game products, or more linked progressives, because so people that don't have to work around the gaming floors. Have you seen any new requirements in these jurisdictions, and which are the most demanded or best performing products these past few months? Maybe if you can share some insights regarding the ones that are showing, or to consider that may have more growth potential in the coming months too.
Sure. I mean, as far as social distancing and machine configurations and floor protocols, I mean, every province is a little bit different, and as we've seen in Central and South America, different restrictions as well as they begin to open, like in Colombia and Panama. But really, what we're seeing is every other machine turned off. In cases where they require plexiglass, people putting up plexiglass. Obviously IGT has a large premium footprint in Canada, so we're assisting where needed to help put up plexiglass or reconfigure the banks according to the protocols. From a performance perspective and a product perspective, ETGs are the clear, from a land-based perspective, electronic table games are the clear winner. We have probably, since March, I would say easily, of the machines we placed, 80% of them are ETGs. So you're really seeing the casinos move towards electronic table games, and because configuring traditional table games has proven to be a little more difficult and to be honest, harder to be profitable by spacing people out on a table. So ETGs is an easier way to do that, and a safer way to do that.
Right. Well, let me take you to another topic about Alberta's launch of this new online website. I think it was last month. It is the province's only legal and regulated online gambling website in Alberta. Well, maybe you can share with us some of the features, what we can expect from this new offering, especially from IGT's portfolio, and what are your goals and expectations for this launch?
Sure. No, I'd be happy to do that. So it's actually it's pretty interesting because in Canada, IGT, originally I think we were generating, I won't swear to this being 100% accurate, but I think we were around 75% of all interactive revenue IGT was generating in Canada. That has obviously declined over time as more players have come in, but we're still certainly in the 55% range. So with Alberta coming in late, we already have this tremendous portfolio of spinning reel content, table game content, even some roulette and things of that nature. So whenever we launch a new market like Alberta, the key is not to flood all of our entire catalog out at once. You start out with a significant amount of games, probably in the 20, 25 game range. And then the key is to make sure that you have a reasonable cadence of launching new content every month. Now, people will argue that, might be 2 games, might be 4 games. I mean, that depends on the operator and who we're working with and how earlier in their deployment it is. But at the end of the day, you will have seen that we will have launched a core group of games, some of our strongest performers, and then you'll see us grow over time, launching new content. So when people come back to the site daily or weekly or monthly, there's something new there and something different. Our blackjack is incredibly strong. It's the #1 blackjack game in all of Canada. We have 2 of the 2 #1 progressives. One is Powerbucks, which is actually that omni-channel we talked about. It's not launched in Alberta yet, but we hope to launch it in Alberta at some point. That's being able to play a progressive at the land-based casino and online as well, play the same progressive. So that's nowhere else in the world does that, as far as I know. And so you'll see that growth as we move along. We'll expand the portfolio gradually.
All right. There's something that is has been very discussed these days, which is the cashless options for the casinos, and touchless technologies in that sense. You have IGT's Resort Wallet. Maybe we can have your what's the company's approach and offering in terms of these the touchless and cashless technologies, at least in the jurisdictions which you oversee. Recently we spoke with Paul Barnes, the CGA CEO, and he said he was working with some cashless wagering standard for this industry. I don't know if you have also some comment on that.
Yeah, sure. So actually, I'm part of the Canadian Gaming Association as well. I'm on the board of directors there with Paul, and IGT was very much involved in crafting and finalizing the standards for the Canadian marketplace, along with GLI. IGT really has been involved in cashless for at least 5 years now with Cardless Connect. I don't know if you remember the product Cardless Connect. We launched that about 5 years ago at G2E. And so cashless has always been in our roadmap. And the pandemic didn't change our roadmap, but it definitely accelerated it. And you mentioned Resort Wallet. Well, one of the innovations that we've launched this year is called IGT Pay, which actually integrates into Resort Wallet. So what that means is that players can fund their wallet via their bank account or credit card or any other funding mechanism, so that they don't have to wait in line at the ATM. It becomes completely contactless. And so this is something that we've launched in the US. I expect it to continue on in Canada, and I hope the same for Central and South America as well. I hope we can expand into that market as well. So, cashless you will see at the forefront of our business, this year and for years to come.
Okay. Well, the last topic that we'd like to address today are basically 2 announcements from the government in the case of One of them is Ontario's government, which announced its decision to move forward with the iGaming legislation, and most recently, the federal government of Canada introduced a bill to legalize single event sports betting, which was it was an issue that's been in the table for many years now. So what would be IGT's approach and expectation for these two potential new markets in the country?
Yeah, it's obviously, from the interactive side in Ontario alone, I mean, obviously that's a huge shift going from a monopolistic, provincially controlled digital site to now looking at licensing and dividing up the pie a little amongst private operators. I mean, that's obviously, I don't know if you knew, but prior to Bead Gaming, IGT ran the platform in Ontario. So we were the sole provider. That shifted to Bead in the last year or so. And we actually just transitioned away from being the platform provider in October of this year. So that change has just been recent. So for us, it's an interesting dichotomy because we're going to now go from being the operator or the infrastructure to the iGaming to providing content to the new operators that come into the marketplace. So it's a different position for us, but it's also kind of an exciting position as well because again, we're uniquely positioned in Canada because we run the Canadian Bingo Network, we run the Canadian Poker Network. We have our omni-channel products with Mega Jackpots and Powerbucks, which I mentioned before. So we have some unique leverage, or in a unique position to provide to these new operators that come into the marketplace. So it will be different, but an exciting different with a little bit of change. As far as sports betting goes and single event sports betting, this is really exciting. IGT again. I realize it's difficult to always sound like a homer for IGT, but it's the absolute truth. From a sports betting perspective and a sports betting infrastructure platform perspective, IGT is incredibly positioned to take this on. We have been very, very successful in the U.S. With the states that have legalized sports betting. We are by far the largest provider and handle the most transactions in the U.S. We've just started our own trade house in Nevada to set odds, which is, again, part of the infrastructure. We have land-based portion of it with kiosks and a couple of other products. So I think we're really in a great spot to do very well in the Canadian marketplace. And then again, hopefully in Central and South America as it becomes legal there.
Very clear. Well, thank you very much, David, for all your insights. It was very clear. So, I hope we can meet again soon and keep discussing the market developments in Canada and South America.
It was my pleasure. It was a pleasure speaking with you, Juan.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right.